Hey y'all, I'm Realtor David Locke with Locke Key Associates at Keller Williams Western Upstate. And if you're thinking about selling your home, you may be wondering, why should I hire a realtor when I can just put the house online myself? That is really a fair question. But there's a big difference between putting a house on a website and placing it into a professional real estate marketplace. One of the biggest differences is something called listing syndication. When we list a property through an MLS, that listing becomes part of a much larger distribution network, depending on the platform and the local multiple listing service agreement. Your home can appear on major real estate websites such as Realtor.com, Zillow, Homes.com, and other agents' websites and other consumer platforms. But just as important, your property is also being seen by other realtors who are actively working with pre-qualified buyers, and that really matters. A buyer may never personally find your house online. Their realtor may find it through the multiple listing service and send it directly to them, schedule the showing, and write an offer. A traditional for sale by owner property may be advertised on individual websites, but it does not automatically receive that same broad MLS-based distribution unless the owner does something to arrange that through a licensed brokerage or another MLS service. At Locke Key Associates, MLS exposure is just that first beginning. For many of our listings, we create a dedicated blog about the home on our website. That allows us to tell your story of the property in much greater detail than we can in that traditional MLS description. We can talk about the neighborhood. We can talk about renovations that might have been done, lifestyle, proximity to shopping, school, medical facilities, and the features that make your particular home very special. We also create a mini website experience for the property that gives buyers a dedicated place to explore the home rather than just simply seeing it as one listing among hundreds. That really makes you stand out. But marketing is only one part of the equation. Negotiation is the other. Major advantages of professional representation are that negotiation. Whether we're representing a buyer or a seller, we're going to study comparable sales, current competition, days on the market, price reduction, and other market data before we ever negotiate. Because negotiating a real estate transaction isn't just about price. It can involve closing cost, financing, inspection, repairs, appraisal issues, personal property, contingencies, closing dates, and dozens of other details that we deal with every day. We also serve as a go-between. Real estate can be really emotional, and having a professional to represent you allows us to communicate with the other side, negotiate objectively, and help keep disagreements from becoming personal. And once you're under contract, there is a tremendous amount of paperwork, coordination that has to be done. We help facilitate that communication between the buyer, the seller, the lender, the closing attorneys, the inspectors, the appraisers, and other professionals that are involved in that transaction. That's a big job. Our job isn't to simply just put a sign in the front of your yard. Our job is to help price it intelligently, market it extensively, negotiate strategically, and then navigate that transaction all the way to closing. So if you're considering buying or selling a home in Anderson, Greenville, or anywhere in the Western Upstate of South Carolina, I'd be happy to show you what that level of representation looks like. I'm Realtor David Locke with Locke Key Associates Team at Keller Williams Western Upstate. And remember, there's a big difference between simply putting a home for sale and truly putting a house on the market.